Okay, Act 3, Scene 1 of King Lear. Like in all of the plays, the 5-act plays, the tension builds, and in this case, really, there's not much of light in the play. It's just getting darker and darker. The only ones left that are good are under serious cover. Keyes, who's been banished, has to disguise himself. He's been put in stocks. The fool is trying to encourage Lear, but I mean, the fool is a fool, and the fool has no power. Cordelia, who's been banished from the kingdom, lost her inheritance, is virtuous, but she's over with France. And who do we have left? Oh, we have in the subplot, we've got Edgar. And Edgar, to cope with the chaos of the kingdom, decides to feign madness. So there's the extent of things. And we're about to meet him when Lear, who is at this point probably full-blown mad. He's lost his mind at this point. And what's interesting is the madness, Shakespeare suggests, is partly a matter of relationships, social relationships, familial relationships, which I think holds true in terms of human psychology and so forth. Madness isn't just a physical or a mental health issue. It is a relational dynamic. Human beings are complex beings. As Christians, you want to get into the discussions of what it means to be a person and thinking about the Trinity, the three persons of the Trinity, the fact that we are human persons and we're born in the context of families and have fathers and mothers, and those relations, those are aspects of our being. They're not just incidental. You can't just replace them with, in Ontario family law now, the word father and mother is gone from family law. You have parents, and you can have up to 4 of those, and they can change over the course of time. It's like crazy stuff. We're inventing human nature, creating it by fiat law. But whether that actually functions is another matter. So you can assert it, you can enforce it, but does it work? And I guess we're going to find out, because it's an experiment on human nature. Just giving it away, I don't think that there's any chance that it works, because I think we're divinely designed and there's a purpose to our nature which is fulfilled in men towards the opposite sex and vice versa, children towards their parents, and generations. That's the divine design. That's the place of human nurture. Yes.
But even just like for myself, growing up in a split home, I had a massive identity crisis.
Yeah.
Having 4 parents, it was like
so that is your actually.
I literally lived like 2 separate lives.
Yeah.
I was a totally different person at one house.
You would have to be.
Yeah.
Because it depends on the dynamics of the people that you're with. You have to play a different role. The people are different in their character, their disposition, the way they enforce discipline, the way they speak, the way they act, their age. Like all those things make people different. They're not just replaceable. And they in turn form your character. And if there's no stability there, you lose stability in the process.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like very much what seemed to happen. And it really took like identity in Christ to like rekindle any fruit.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I actually think finding your identity in Christ is the greatest source of recovering a personal stability, and knowing what that means to be in Christ. And in a sense, you don't even know who you are until you find yourself in Christ. You have all these incidental relations. Some of them are more stable than others, but really, you are not the author of your own soul. You don't know who you are. You might be, I know my name, I know where I came from, but who am I really? It's a theological and philosophical question that you can't answer on your own. But anyway, so let's go to Act 3, Scene 1. But yeah, helpful discussions. But Lear has lost his mind. Kent is now disguised as Keyes, and he's going out to find his master, the good and loyal servant that he is. And Kent says, who's there besides foul weather? Because he's run to try and find him, because the storm has broken out. And it's a tempest. Remember, the tempest began with a tempest? This is not beginning with a tempest. The tempest is now full blown and reflects not a design to break an already unjust order. That's how the tempest began. There's a man who's been exiled with his daughter, and there the natural disturbances are beginning to recalibrate things and rectify things. Here it's the opposite. It's the escalation of violence and chaos to the point where the mind of Lear is broken. So who's there besides foul weather? One minded like the weather, says the gentleman, most unquietly. I know you. Where's the king? Contending with the fretful elements, bids the wind blow the air into the sea, or swell the curled waters above the main, that things might change or cease, tears his white hair, which the impetuous blasts with eyeless rage catch in their fury and make nothing of, strives in his little world of man to outscorn the to and fro conflicting wind and rain. This night wherein the cub drawn bear would couch, the lion and the belly pinched wolf keep their fur dry, unbonneted he runs and bids what will take all. So even the natural world is hiding in this sort of a storm, and he is going out facing it in his rage. He's a man that's lost his mind. And again, it's a typical portrait of madness in a literary form, where people are unkempt, their hair's out of place, their clothes are disheveled or off. It is a typical literary portrait of madness, and Lear is a expression of that here. But who is with him? None but the fool, who labors to outjest his heart-struck injuries. Sir, I do know you, and dare upon the warrant of my note commend a dear thing to you. There is division, although as yet the face of it is covered with mutual cunning, twixt Albany and Cornwall, who have, as who have not, that their great stars throned and set high, servants who seem no less, which are to France the spies and speculations intelligent to our state. What hath been seen either in snuffs and packings of the dukes, or the hard reign which both of them hath borne against the old kind king, or something deeper, whereof perchance these are but furnishings. But true it is, from France there comes a power into this scattered kingdom, who already wise in our negligence have secret feet in some of our best ports, and are at point to show their open banner. Now to you, if on my credit you dare build so far to make your speed to Dover, you shall find some that will thank you, making just report of how unnatural and bemadding sorrow the king hath caused to plain. I am a gentleman of blood and breeding, and from some knowledge and assurance offer this office to you. I will talk further with you. No, do not. For confirmation that I am much more, that my outwall open this purse and take what it contains. If you shall see Cordelia, as fear not, but you shall show her this ring, and she will tell you that that fellow is that yet you do not know. Fie on this storm, I will go seek the king. So the beginning of a possible remedy to the chaos that's open in Britain. King of France has come back with Cordelia in order to retake the kingdom from her wicked sisters, because she fears the worst for her father, and she's right in her fears. So now there's at least hope for the first time. Remember, this is all happening off stage. We're informed of it, but we have seen no sign of it. We've not yet seen Cordelia or the King of France since the first act. Give me your hand. Have you no more to say? Few words, but to effect more than all yet. That when we have found the king, in which your pain, that way all this, he that first lights on him, holla the other. And now we meet Lear himself and the fool. Lear raging at the storm. Famous scene. Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow, you cataracts and hurricanes. Spout till you have drenched your steeples, drowned the cocks. You sulphurous and thought-executing fires, vaunt, couriers of oak-cleaving thunderbolts, singe my white head. And thou, all shaking thunder, strike flat the thick rotundity of the world. Crack nature's molds, all germanes spill at once, that makes ingrateful man. So he's calling upon nature to do what? To destroy man, because he has become a he's a misanthropist. He's seen the wickedness of man visited upon him by his own kindred. Now, note that as much as I have disparaged Lear for his own actions, political actions, he's a kind old man. He's just a fool. But he's not malicious, although when he speaks, as I say, he's cursing his daughters. No, and their complaints against him are legitimate in that sense. He brings it upon himself. All the same, there's something in him here that's bespeaking a problem with human nature and with order. But this is the crisis point of the play here, and we see figures of madness will arise in it. But at the moment, Lear raging against the storms and to some degree misunderstanding the storm or willfully misrepresenting the storm, seeing it in very self-centered terms as almost as a reflection of himself. So he looks on nature and sees himself in nature. It's probably a symptom of his madness and his folly. He sees its rage as a mirror of his rage. You know, you're angry, I'm angry, and they're roaring back and forth, raging at one another, and sees himself as a victim of injustice, which of course he is, but he's also the perpetrator of injustice, which the storm isn't. He sees that sort of, and he expresses his own private grief and anger, and then sees an image of the nature's molds, certain germanes and archetypes there, by which mortal man is created, and he calls for even their destruction. So he wants to destroy it all. It's almost like he is calling for the flood to come again. As you know, when God once flooded the earth out of his rage at the wickedness of man, Lear is effectively calling for the same sort of thing. Destroy humanity. I want no more of it. And he even accuses the elements of siding with his daughters. We'll come to that in a second. But the fool who has accompanied him rather loyally, "O nuncle, court holy water in a dry house is better than this rain water out of door. Good nuncle, in, ask thy daughter's blessing. Here's a knight pities neither wise men nor fools." Pays him no mind. "Rumble thy bellyful, spit, fire, spout, rain, not rain, wind, thunder, fire are my daughters. I tax not you, you elements, with unkindness. I never gave you kingdom, called you children. You owe me no subscription. Then let fall your horrible pleasure. Here I stand, your slave, a poor, infirm, weak, and despised old man. But yet I call you servile ministers that will with two pernicious daughters join your high engendered battles against a head so old and white as this. Oh ho, 'tis foul." And then the fool, "He that has a house to put his head in has a good headpiece. The codpiece that will house before the head has any." A codpiece is this outrageous. You know what a codpiece is? Yeah. Unfortunately. Okay. I will not show you then what a codpiece is, but it's in the Renaissance, very much Italian Renaissance is just like anyway. A jock on the outside with extension. It's like this ridiculous. The codpiece that will house before the head has any, the head that he shall louse, so beggars marry many. The man that makes his toe what he his heart should make shall of a corn cry woe and turn his sleep to wake. For there was never yet fair woman, but she made mouths in a glass. And then Lear, "No, I will be the pattern of all patience. I will say nothing." And then Kent, disguised as key. "Who's there?" "Mary, here's grace and a codpiece. That's a wise man and a fool." Which is which, I think we know. "Alas, sir, are you there? Things that love night love not such nights as these, the wrathful skies. The wrathful skies gallow the very wanderers of the dark and make them keep their caves. Since I was man, such sheets of fire, such bursts of horrid thunder, such groans of roaring wind and rain I never remember to have heard. Man's nature cannot carry the affliction nor the fear. Let the great gods that keep this dreadful putter o'er our heads find out their enemies now. Tremble, thou wretch, that hast within thee divulged crimes unwhipped of justice. Hide thee, thou bloody hand. So he sees injustice in the whole fabric of the universe. It's spread from his house to there. He's not taking responsibility for it, though. He's still blaming everyone else for the injustice, which he, in fact, loosed by his rash actions at the beginning of the play. Anyway, I'll skip to scene 2. Gloucester and Edmund. Edmund, this horrible character. Truly one of Shakespeare's blackest villains. Alack, alack, Edmund, I like not this unnatural dealing. Note that he speaks like a commoner here. Oh. When I desired their leave that I might pity him, they took from me the use of mine own house. Charge me on pain of perpetual displeasure, neither to speak of him, entreat for him, or in any way sustain him. So Gloucester finds that by siding with the dukes, he's lost his own place, his own standing. Now he's there at their beck and cry, but he has no capacity for action anymore. He just has to do what he's told. And then Edmund agrees with him, but is pretty happy at the outcome, quite frankly, because he doesn't love his father at all. He sees him as a mark for him to prey upon. Most savage and unnatural. Go to, say you nothing. There is division between the dukes, and a worse matter than that. I have received a letter this night. 'Tis dangerous to be spoken. I have locked the letter in my closet. These injuries the king now bears will be revenged home. There is part of a power already footed. We must incline to the king. I will look him and privily relieve him. Go you and maintain talk with the duke, that my charity be not of him perceived. If he ask for me, I am ill and gone to bed. If I die for it, as no less is threatened me, the king my old master must be relieved. There is strange things toward Edmund, pray you be careful. And then Gloucester leaves. Now note that Gloucester has some loyalty in him. So as much as we've disparaged him thus far, he's going to be there to help the king, even if he dies in the process. So there's loyalty, there's a recognition of this, and he's willing to risk his own life at this to achieve that end. Edmund's response to this revelation of Gloucester's intentions is to use it to his advantage. This courtesy forbid thee shall the duke instantly know, and of that letter too. This seems a fair deserving, and must draw me that which my father loses, no less than all. The younger rises when the old doth fall. So he's just an opportunist. Sure, you're using this letter to your advantage, but it serves my advantage even better. He wants his father dead, just like the daughters do. Again, there's lots of foils going on here. Scene 4. Lear, Kent, and Fool again. Here is the place, my lord. Good my lord, enter. The tyranny of the open night's too rough for nature to endure. And you can still hear the storm. Let me alone. Good my lord, enter here. Wilt break my heart? I'd rather break mine own. Good my lord, enter. Thou think'st 'tis much that this contentious storm invades us to the skin, so 'tis to thee. But where the greater malady is fixed, the lesser is scarce felt. Thou'dst shun a bear, but if thy flight lay towards the roaring sea, thou'd meet the bear in the mouth. When the mind's free, the body's delicate. This tempest in my mind, um, where is this? This tempest in my mind doth from my senses take all feeling else, save what beats there. Filial ingratitude. He doesn't care about what's happening to his body. It's all about relational fidelity now. Suddenly he realizes the significance of fidelity to his daughters, and he means it in something more than the terms with which he began the play. So he began it as, show me how much you love me. Now he is complaining at the lack of true virtue in his daughters' professions of love. He's feeling it. Is he on the road to recovery in that sense? Is he figuring it out a little bit? It's hard to say. We're going to see this as the play progresses, that Lear will fluctuate between being absorbed in rather self-absorbed in pain, and then but also looking beyond appearances to something. There's a sort of a growing awareness on his part and ability to look beneath the surface, which suggests maybe he is actually moving in the right direction. Because remember, everything that he once trusted with his eyes has betrayed him, so he is now looking for things in a deeper way. This is one of the few benefits of suffering. A little bit of wisdom and discernment. Genuine for all that. But he says, this tempest in my mind doth from my senses take all feeling else save what beats there, filial ingratitude. Is it not as this mouth should tear this hand for lifting food to it? But I will punish home. No, I will weep no more. In such a night, to shut me out, pour on I will endure. They didn't shut him out. He ran out. He was the one. So again, he's projecting on them what he's done to himself. Yes, but he ran out. He wouldn't let back in until he agreed to their terms. He refused to do so. Okay, so it's just like, who's more at fault? It's hard to see any side coming off well here. They're awful and he's obstinate, pig-headed. In such a night to shut me out, pour on I will endure in such a night as this. O Regan Goneril, your old kind father whose frank heart gave all. Oh, that way madness lies. Let me shun that. No more of that. Good my lord, enter here. Prithee, go in thyself. Seek thine own ease. This tempest will not give me leave to ponder, or things would hurt me more. But I'll go in. To the fool, in boy, go first. You, houseless poverty. Nay, get thee in. I'll pray, and then I'll sleep. Exit. And then from within he hears a voice. The voice is that of Edgar. Fathom and half, poor Tom. Come not in here, nuncle, there's a spirit. Help me. Give me thy hand. Who's there? A spirit. He says his name's poor Tom. What art thou that grumble there in the straw? Come forth. Now Edgar comes out. Away! The foul fiend follows me. Through the sharp hawthorn blow the cold winds. Hum, go to thy bed and warm thee. Lear, who sees the madman, assumes that he's had the same cause as he has. Again, part of Lear's problem is a sinful mind. Everything sees extensions of himself. He sees himself in everything. He doesn't have any care or compassion for other people. He doesn't see other people almost. He sees them as parts of himself. He's very much of a narcissist. So he asks the mad Edgar, didst thou give all to thy daughters? And art thou come to this? Who gives anything to poor Tom, whom the foul fiend hath led through fire and through flame, through ford and whirlpool, or bog and quagmire, that hath laid knives under his pillow and halters in his pew, set ratsbane by his porch, made him proud of heart to ride on a bay, etc., etc. Poor Tom's a cold. And then Lear, has his daughters brought him thus to pass? Couldst thou save nothing? Wouldst thou give them all? Nay, he reserved a blanket else we had all been shamed. He has a blanket around his waist. Otherwise, we would not be very happy. Yeah, we'd say, well, he doesn't have a cod piece, so yes. um, he hath no daughters, Sir Kent. Death, traitor! Nothing could have subdued nature to such a lowness but his unkind daughters. Is it the fashion that discarded fathers should have thus little mercy on their flesh? Judicious punishment, 'twas this flesh begot those pelican daughters. Pelican daughters. Pelicans are a symbol in Christian iconography of Christ, and they were said to bite their own breast and feed their young from the blood that came from the wounds of it. And so, as I say, figures of Christ and so forth. Shakespeare projecting that here in a different sense. So pelican daughters, they've leached off his own body effectively, depriving of. So that's what he means here. A little bit of back and forth and a little craziness here, but note the identification of Lear with Edgar, and again, projecting him as being of the same, having the same sort of background that led him into this place of madness. And now enter Gloucester with a torch. Look, here comes a walking fire. This is the foul fiend Flibbertigibbet. He begins at curfew and walks till the first cock. He gives the web and the pin, squinnies the eye and makes the hare lip, mildews the white heat, and hurts the poor creature of earth. Swithold-footed thrice the old, he met the nightmare and her ninefold, bid her alight and her troth plight, and anoint thee, witch, anoint thee. Of course, Edgar recognizes his father, but keeps up the mad disposition. How fares your grace? What's he? Who's there? What is it you seek? What are you there? Your names? Edgar, poor Tom that eats the swimming frog, the toad, the tadpole, the wall newt in the water, etc. And then Gloucester sees the madman with him. What hath your grace no better company? The Prince of Darkness is a gentleman. Modo he's called, and Mahu. Okay. So the interchange and the exchange, and Edgar mad, Gloucester mad, Lear mad, everybody is speaking basically garbled speech and saying ridiculous things. Scene 5. Now we get part of the treachery played out. Cornwall and Edmund. Edmund's now going to disclose to Cornwall what his father had told him to his advantage, so that he takes his father's place and is trusted by Cornwall. Of course, his intentions are to rise still further. Once he's in that position, he intends on replacing Cornwall for that matter. But for now, Cornwall, I will have my revenge ere I depart this house. How, my lord, I may be censured, that nature thus gives way to loyalty, something fears me to think of. I now perceive it was not altogether your brother's evil disposition that made him seek his death, but a provoking merit set a work by a reprovable badness in himself. How malicious is my fortune that I must repent to be just. This is the letter which he spoke of, which approves him an intelligent party to the advantages of France. O heavens, that this treason were not, or not I the detector. Go with me to the Duchess. If the matter of this paper be certain, you have mighty business in hand. True or false, it hath made thee Earl of Gloucester. Okay, there you go. One way or the other. For your loyalty to me, for your disloyalty to your father, I'm going to reward you. Treason. And he's going to reward him for it. Again, it reflects not only the bad character of Edmund, but that of Cornwall. He's now rewarding treason. Outright treason to a father. And then Edmund, as an aside, the audience hears it, Cornwall doesn't. If I find him comforting the king, it will stuff his suspicion more fully. I will persevere in my course of loyalty, though the conflict be sore between that and my blood. I will lay trust upon thee, and thou shalt find a dearer father in my love. So inherit him as his son for this. I'm going to skip over this passage, I think scene 6, between Kent and Gloucester with Lear and Edgar and so forth, and come to scene 7. Again, this is for lack of time as much as anything else. It just is really not a short play. Okay, Cornwall, Regan, Goneril, Edmund the Bastard, and servants. The baddies are all in one place now. And the good forces of good will be gathering themselves as well, but they still have yet not been seen. As they are hopeless, helpless, mad, out in the midst of nature, in the midst of turmoil. There's a promise of rescue on the horizon, but we haven't even seen any hint of that yet. So, Cornwall to Regan, or Cornwall to Goneril, rather. Post speedily to my lord your husband, show him this letter. The army of France is landed. Seek out the traitor Gloucester. Regan, hang him instantly. Goneril, pluck out his eyes. Leave him to my displeasure. Edmund, keep you our sister company. The revenges we are bound to take upon your traitorous father are not fit for your beholding. Advise the Duke where you are going. To a most festinate preparation we are bound to the like. Our post shall be swift and intelligent betwixt us. Farewell, dear sister. Farewell, my lord of Gloucester. Oswald comes in. How now? Where's the king? My lord of Gloucester hath conveyed him hence, some 5 or 6 and 30 of his knights. Hot questress after him met him at gate, who with some other of the lord's dependents are gone with him toward Dover, where they boast to have well-armed friend. Get horses for your mistress. Farewell, sweet lord and sister. Edmund, farewell. Now they all go out. Edmund, Goneril, and Oswald. Go seek the traitor Gloucester. Pinion him like a thief. Bring him before us. Though well we may not pass upon his life without the form of justice, yet our power shall do a courtesy to our wrath, which men may blame, but not control. So there's some semblance of moral order remaining. They're not going to kill the man because there's no court, but they're going to make him suffer for what he's done. And what is about to happen is one of the more horrid scenes in Shakespeare's plays. Who's there? Because they've got Gloucester. Who's there? The traitor, ingrateful fox, 'tis he. Bind fast his corky arms. What means your graces, good my friends? Consider, you are my guests. Do me no foul play, friends. Bind him, I say. Hard, hard, oh filthy traitor. Unmerciful lady as you are, I'm none. To this chair bind him. Villain, thou shalt find. And then the Regan comes up and rips his beard in her rage at him. By the kind gods, 'tis most ignobly done to pluck me by the beard. So white and such a traitor. Naughty lady, these hairs which thou dost ravish from my chin will quicken and accuse thee. I am your host. With robbers' hands my hospitable favors you should not ruffle thus. What will you do? Note that he charges her with a further violation of hospitality, not just against kin, but now even worse, against a guest and a host. These are things that in Dante's estimation land you at the bottom of hell. Betrayal of a lord or a host by a guest. So we see that, again, the growth in wickedness from the world's perspective. And that's what he's appealing to. I'm your host. What are you doing here? And then Cornwall, come, sir, what letters had you late from France? Be simple, answered, for we know the truth. And what confederacy have you with the traitors late footed in the kingdom? To whose hands have you sent the lunatic king? Speak. I have a letter guessingly set down, which came from one that's of a neutral heart, and not from one opposed. Cunning and false. Where hast thou sent the king? To Dover. Wherefore to Dover? Wast thou not charged at peril? Wherefore to Dover? Let him answer that. I am tied to the stake, and I must stand the course. Wherefore to Dover? Because I could not see thy cruel nails pluck out his poor old eyes, nor thy fierce sister in his anointed flesh rash boorish fangs the sea with such a storm as his bare head in hell night, black hell night hath endured, would have buoyed up and quenched the stelled fires. Yet, poor old heart, he hoped the heavens to rain. If wolves had at thy gate howled that dern time, thou shouldst have said, good porter, turn the key. All cruels else subscribe, but I shall see the winged vengeance o'ertake such children. See it shalt thou never. Fellows, hold the chair. Upon these eyes of mine I'll set my foot. He that will think to live till he be old, give me some help. O cruel, O you gods! One side will mock another, the other too. Because he's just put his foot on the one eye and popped it out, and now do it the other. One is going to mock the other, get them both gone. So it's an awful scene. It's absolutely dreadful. Hold your hand, my child, said the servant. I have served you ever since I was a child, my lord. But better service have I never done you than now to bid you hold. How now, you dog? If you did wear a beard upon your chin, I'd shake it on this quarrel. What do you mean? And then Cornwall, my villain. So the servant tries to defend Gloucester at this point. I'm not going to participate in this atrocity. So he draws his sword and tries to defend Gloucester before it happens. Nay, then come on and take the chance of anger. And he wounds Cornwall. And then Regan, give me thy sword. Peasant, stand up thus, takes the sword and runs the man from behind and kills him. And of course, oh, I am slain. You can't just die. Oh, I am slain, my lord. You have one eye left to see some mischief on him. Oh. And then Cornwall, lest it see more, prevent it. Out, Vild's jelly, where is thy luster now? Now he's got no eyes. He's like who? Oedipus. But it happens on the stage. Oedipus happens off stage. Here it's on stage. It's horrible. Symbol of folly, symbol of lack of discernment. Also here is a symbol of terrible injustice done by a guest. All dark and comfortless, where's my son Edmund? Edmund, enkindle all the sparks of nature to quit this horrid act. Out, treacherous villain, thou call'st on him that hates thee. It was he that made the overture of thy treasons to us, who is too good to pity thee. Oh, my follies! Then Edgar was abused. Kind gods, forgive me that, and prosper him. Go thrust him out at gates, and let him smell his way to Dover. How is it, my lord? How look you? I have received a hurt. Follow me, lady. Turn out that eyeless villain. Throw this slave upon the dunghill. Regan, I bleed apace. Untimely comes this hurt. Give me your arm. And then the servants that are left. I'll never care what wickedness I do if this man come to good. If she live long and in the end meet the old course of death, women will all turn monsters. Let's follow the old earl and get the bedlam to lead him where he would. His roguish madness allows itself to anything. Go thou, I'll fetch some flax and whites of eggs to apply to his bleeding face. Now heaven help him. Terrible scene. Still some servants loyal left, but these are nothing to withstand the wickedness that has been unleashed in this place. So we come to Act 1 or Act 4, and Edgar in disguise, and what he will see is his father. and he's going to have to act. And I've talked about this function in various ways. He is, to some degree, going to act as he is a dramaturge figure within the play, and he's going to try and help his father from despair. His father is despairing of his life and wants to actually die. He leads him to the cliff in order to jump off the cliff and take his own life. Edgar will realize that taking your life like this, even though it's not a Christian play, is a more damnable act than living. He wants to restore the old man to him in some way. He's not yet safe. He can't disclose his identity at this stage. He wants to do something to his father who can't see him. Nonetheless, he's going to work upon him to try and rectify his situation. And Edgar will show the shift in nature, which was an ordered view at the beginning. It breaks out into chaos by the time we get to Act 3. And we've seen already that Lear has to some degree advanced in his understanding of human nature. In Gloucester's blinding, there is betrayal, the destruction of order, the destruction of his natural capacities, but also the greatest degeneration in the whole play, in the sense it's the abuse of a host. It's the wickedness advances without respite. And now he is something like Lear, because he's also out in the wild, away from civilization. And there's a similar sort of journey, and we can see the characters. One advances more than the others. Gloucester actually seems to gain greater insight than the mad old King Lear. But let me go on through this. So Edgar, I'm going to skip over this but it's rather touching. And let's look at Scene 2, Goneril and Edmund the Bastard. Yeah, I think we need Edmund the Bastard here. I'm going to skip over the subplot, because now we see the plans of the wicked. And Goneril is fancying Edmund now. Welcome, my lord. I marvel our mild husband not met us on the way. Now, where is your master? Madam, within. But never man so changed. I told him of the army that was landed. He smiled at it. I told him you were coming. His answer was, the worse. Of Gloucester's treachery and of the loyal service of his son, when I informed him, then he called me sot, and told me I had turned the wrong side out. What most he should dislike seems pleasant to him, what like, offensive. Okay, so now we've seen that Goneril's husband is turned against her. He's siding with the good. So there's a revelation of his character. He's made his choice. He's chosen actually against it. He's turned against his wife, but he's turned towards goodness in that sense. Goneril to Edmund then shall you go no further. It is the cowish terror of his spirit that dares not undertake. He'll not feel wrongs which tie him to an answer. Our wishes on the way may prove effects. So Goneril at this point is more like a Lady Macbeth. She also is committed to evil in the same way that Edmund is. Her husband has a cowish terror in his spirit to do the necessary evil. He's restrained by the milk of human kindness in some ways, and she despises him for it. Back, Edmund, to my brother. Hasten his musters and conduct his powers. I must change names at home and give the distaff into my husband's hands. This trust. So in other words, I'm going to be the man, he's going to be the woman. I'll give him the distaff, which he will use for yarn, for he'll do the woman's work, I'll be the man. I'm going to be the husband, he's going to be the wife. He'll stay at home. This trusty servant shall pass between us. Ere long you are like to hear, if you dare venture in your own behalf, a mistress's command. Wear this, spare speech, decline your head. This, kiss, if it durst speak, would stretch thy spirits up into the air. Conceive and fare thee well. So what's she doing? She's announcing her fidelity to him rather than her husband. Conceive and fare thee well, and then his, yours in the ranks of death, as if they have a sort of a love union here. Edmund, as ever, is conniving and using the situation for his advancement. Does he care for Goneril at all? Well, we're going to find that he's also doing the same thing with Goneril and Regan. Same things going on there. All of it's to advance his own purposes in this. And then Goneril, my most dear Gloucester, oh, the differences of man and man. To thee a woman's services are due. A fool usurps my bed. There's no, it's a sexual, to thee a woman's services are due. Like, okay. Madam, here comes my lord. Enter Albany. I have been worth the whistling. Oh, Goneril, you are not worth the dust which the rude wind blows in your face. I fear your disposition, that nature which contemns its origin cannot be bordered certain in itself. She that herself will sliver and disbranch from her material sap, perforce must wither and come to deadly use. He thinking like a moral man. You can't cut yourself off from your husband, your father. You can't do those things without consequences. There's a moral law. So he speaks from the moral sense tradition. Goneril has cut herself off from that in the same way that Lear has. No more. The text is foolish. Wisdom and goodness to the vild seem vild. Filth savor but themselves. What have you done? Tigers, not daughters, what have you performed? A father and a gracious aged man whose reverence even the head-lugged bear would lick. Most barbarous, most degenerate, have you madded? Could my good brother suffer you to do it? A man, a prince, by him so benefited? If that the heavens do not their visible spirit send quickly down to tame these vile defenses, it will come. Humanity must perforce prey on itself like monsters of the deep. So if there's no divine justice here, the spirits do not condemn you for this, we will break down to tearing ourselves apart. It's an expression of the moral order of being, which Shakespeare in the Elizabethan world picture is always at pains to express here, and the consequence of defying that is man makes his own fellow human beings prey. It's a Roman saying that to his fellow man, man is a wolf. No other being, no animal preys on itself the way mankind does, because none is corrupted by original sin in the same way. Anyway, Goneril, milk-livered man that bears to cheek for blows, a head for wrongs, who hast not in thy brows an eye discerning thine honor from thy suffering, that not knowest, fools do these villains pity who are punished ere they have done their mischief. Where's thy drum? France spreads his banners in our noiseless land. With plumed helm they state, thy state begins to threat. Whilst thou, a moral fool, sits still and cries, alack! Why does he so? See thyself, devil. Proper deformity shows, not in the fiend, so horrid as in a woman. So now, O vain fool, thou charged and self-covered thing, for shame, be monster not thy feature. Were it my fitness to let these hands obey my blood, they are apt enough to dislocate and tear thy flesh and bones. However, thou art a fiend, a woman's shape doth shield thee. Mary, your manhood, mew. Okay, so really bad relations between the two of them now. One is Albany has sided with the whole moral structure of life, and Goneril is a selfish, mean being without any moral strictures whatsoever. What news, says Albany when the messenger enters? Oh, my good lord, the Duke of Cornwall is dead, slain by his servant. going to put out the other eye of Gloucester. Gloucester's eyes? A servant that he bred, thrilled with remorse, opposed against the act, bending his sword to his great master, who thereat enraged flew on him, and amongst them felled him dead, but not without that harmful stroke which since hath plucked him under. This shows you are above, you justicers, that these are nether crimes so speedily can revenge. Note that Albany, from the state of affairs, sees justice even in the midst of all these actions. So what the play is articulating quite clearly throughout is that the just see justice in the actions, and those that have no sense of moral justice can't see it even when it happens. They make the false conclusions. There's discernment and a lack of discernment. Albany sees a just action in the death of Cornwall here immediately as a direct response to the way he views the world. But oh, poor Gloucester, lost he his other eye, both, my lord. This letter, madam, craves a speedy answer. 'Tis from your sister. And then Goneril, one way I like this well, but being widow, and my Gloucester with her. So she immediately thinks about this. And my Gloucester with her, in other words, Edmund, may all the building in my fancy pluck upon my hateful life. Another way the news is not so tart. I'll read and answer. Out she goes. She's got to run because she wants to make sure that her sister, who now has no husband, doesn't end up with Edmund. So now the two sisters are fighting over Edmund. And as for the threat of France, they don't care. All of this has been lost in their, the conflict between them. Okay, Canton of Gentlemen, I will skip over that. But now we hear the drums and colors, and for the first time, we see Cordelia. So Act 4, Scene 4. Possible rescue. Could end well in the end after all. Act 4, Scene 4. Enter with drum and colors, much like Macbeth that we just watched. There's now a battle that ensues. Cordelia, doctor, and soldiers. Alack, 'tis he. Why, he was met even now as mad as the vexed sea, singing aloud, crowned with rank femeter, and furrow weeds, with hardocks, hemlock, nettles, cuckoo flowers, darnel, and all the idle weeds that grow in our sustaining corn. A sentry sent forth, search every acre in the high-grown field, and bring him to our eye. What can man's wisdom in the restoring his bereaved sense? He that helps him take all my outward worth. She loves her father and wants to restore him to his senses. It's worth all the world to him. There is means, madam, says the doctor. Remember, a doctor in this time, in its literal sense, a doctor is a teacher. In our day, we call a doctor a medical doctor, somebody who's like a physician. But doctor, strictly speaking, means docere is to teach. So the doctor here will have, of course, the capacity for medicinal remedies, but will have a theological framework as well. So there's an element of teaching in the doctor. It's always here in medieval Renaissance. Doctor has connotations beyond our current ones here. Well, I'm a doctor as well, but right? Don't call me when you have a heart attack. That's not going to help you any more than anyone else. That's right. Call in the literary doctor. There is means, madam. Our foster nurse of nature is repose, the which he lacks. That to provoke in him are many simples operative, whose power will close the eye of anguish. He just needs rest. There is a remedy here. Too much for the old man. All blessed secrets, all you unpublished virtues of the earth, spring with my tears. Be aidant and remediate in the good man's distress. Seek for him, lest his ungoverned rage dissolve the life that wants the means to lead it. News, madam, the British powers are marching hitherward. 'Tis known before, our preparation stands. Where is this? Our preparation stands in expectation of them. O dear Father, it is thy business that I go about. Therefore, great France, my mourning and importuned tears hath pitied. No blown ambition doth our arms incite, but love, dear love, and our aged father's right. Soon may I hear and see him. So note that they're motivated by love, by charity, not by ambition, unlike the sisters. So again, it's morality play. Who's going to win? Well, you would expect in a moral, ordered universe that love will defeat the disordered love of the sisters. Enter Regan and Stewart. But are my brother's powers set forth? Aye, madam, himself in person there? Aye, madam, with much ado, your sister is the better soldier. Lord Edmund spake not with your lord at home. No, madam, what might import my sister's letter to them? I know not, lady. Faith, he is posted hence on serious matter. It was great ignorance, Gloucester's eyes being out, oh, let him live. Where he arrives, he moves all hearts against us. Edmund, I think, is gone, in pity of his misery, to dispatch his nighted life, moreover to descry the strength of the enemy. I must needs after him, madam, with my letter. Our troops set forth tomorrow, stay with us, the ways are dangerous. I may not, madam. My lady charged my duty in this business. Why should she write to Edmund? Might not you transport her purposes by word? Belike some things, I know not what. I'll love thee much. Let me unseal the letter. Madam, I had rather. I know your lady does not love her husband. I am sure of that, and at her late being here, she gave strange Eliads and most speaking looks to noble Edmund. I know you are of her bosom. I, madam? I speak in understanding. You are, I know it. Therefore I do advise you, take this note. My lord is dead. Edmund and I have talked, and more convenient is he for my hand than for your ladies. You may gather more. If you do find him, pray you give him this. And when your mistress hears thus much from you, I pray desire call her wisdom to her. So fare you well. If you do chance to hear of that blind traitor, preferment falls on him that cuts him off. You're going to be rewarded by killing, murdering Gloucester now. Would I meet him, madam, I should show what party I do follow. Fare thee well. Gloucester and Edgar. Edgar leads Gloucester to the cliff. Gloucester thinks that he jumps over, he just falls down, and then he comes and says that, oh, you've come down this great height, and I saw a demon above that was pushing you towards this, and you've been miraculously rescued. So Gloucester is, to some degree, at this point, or rather Edgar is playing the same role that Cordelia does, a filial act towards a ailing father to try and restore him to some sort of sanity. So that's what you will see here in this. And I shall skip over that to scene 7. It's a long act. Very long act. He thinks he dies, and in fact he's found. And now Cordelia, Kent, the doctor, gentlemen, oh thou good Kent, how shall I live and work to match thy goodness? My life will be too short, and every measure fail me. To be acknowledged, madam, is o'erpaid. All my reports go with the modest truth. No more nor clipped, nor more nor clipped, but so. Be better suited. These weeds are memories of those worser hours. I prithee put them off. Pardon, dear madam, yet to be known shortens my made intent. My boon I make it, that you know me not till time and I think meet. Then be it so, my good lord. And then to the doctor, how does the king? Madam sleeps well. O you kind gods, cure this great breach in his abused nature, the untuned and jarring senses, O wind up of this child-changed father. So please your majesty, that we may wake the king? He hath slept long. Be governed by your knowledge and proceed in the sway of your own will. Is he arrayed? And now Lear comes in a chair, carried by servants. So please, your majesty. And then, doctor, please draw you near. Louder the music there. Oh, my dear father, restoration, hang thy medicine on my lips, and let this kiss repair those violent harms that my two sisters have in thy reverence made. Kind and dear princess, had you not been their father, these white flakes did challenge pity of them. Was this a face to be opposed against the warring winds, to stand against the deep dread bolted thunder, in the most terrible and nimble stroke of quick cross lightning, to watch poor Perdu with this thin helm? Mine enemy's dog, though he had bit me, would have stood that night against my fire. And wast thou fain, poor father, to hovel thee with swine and rogues forlorn in short and musty straw? Alack, alack, 'tis wonder that thy life and wits at once had not concluded all. He wakes. Speak to him. Madam, do you, 'tis fittest. How does my royal lord? How fares your majesty? You do me wrong to take me out of the grave. Thou art a soul in bliss, but I am bound upon a wheel of fire, that mine own tears do scald like molten lead. She's in heaven, he's in purgatory, being tortured. Sir, do you know me? You are a spirit, I know. When did you die? Still, still, far wide. He's scarce awake, let him alone a while. Where have I been? Where am I? Fair daylight, I am mightily abused. I should even die with pity to see another thus. I know not what to say. I will not swear these are my hands. Let's see, I feel this pinprick. Would I were assured of my condition. Oh, look upon me, sir, and hold your hand in benediction o'er me. No, sir, you must not kneel. Pray do not mock me. I am a very foolish, fond old man, 80 and upward, not an hour more nor less. And to deal plainly, I fear I am not in my perfect mind. Methinks I should know you, and know this man, yet I am doubtful, for I am mainly ignorant what place this is, and all the skill I have remembers not these garments, nor I know not where I did lodge last night. Do not laugh at me, for as I am a man, and I think this lady to be my dear Cordelia. My own child Cordelia, and so I am. I am. Be your tears wet? Yes. Faith, I pray, weep not. And so on and so on. Am I in France? In your own kingdom, sir, do not abuse me. He be comforted, good madam. The great rage you see is killed in him, and yet it is danger to make him even o'er the time he is lost. Desire him to go in. Trouble him no more till further settling. So there's a promise of restoration here at this point. Hope kindled, and the possibility that it will end well. I think I'm going to have to stop for now. I'll pick up Act 5 next time. And we will conclude it rather speedily, and then we shall move on to the our final play, namely Hamlet. But Act 5 isn't actually that long for the length of all the other acts. We'll do that next time, though.